Is Happy on Purpose, and I'm going to share a different perspective on AI with you. I want to share with you that AI has no agenda. I work with AI every day. I've been in the tech business for over 30 years, and I want to share some things that maybe you haven't thought about. You know, when I was young, this is back in 1979-ish, right in that area. You know, computers were just coming out. Just the idea of having a personal computer was groundbreaking information. And my dad was a Teamsters at the time. He drove truck for a living, and he was worried that computers were going to take over everyone's jobs. There was going to be no more jobs. Sound familiar? The fear back in the 70s was very similar to where it is today. But back in the 70s, it was about just personal computers, or actually just computers were going to replace the working man, as he put it. Man, that sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? You know, every generation faces this moment in time. Back in the day, long time ago, I mean, horses, remember? They were replaced by cars, and people were outraged. I mean, what are these horseless carriages doing on our roads? You know, this is where we ride our horses and our buggies, and people were pretty upset about it. They were outraged at the thought of horses being replaced by the horseless carriage cars. Typewriters, they were replaced by computers. I mean, there was outrage then as well. And how about retail stores being replaced by online shopping? What's happening there? And that transition has really taken hold. So the fear is always the same. But in this case of AI, fear is not coming from AI. The fear is coming from the content creators about AI. The headlines in the news. You see it in social media all the time. The movies, the doomsday predictions. We're all done. We're all doomed in how many years? 5 years? 10 years? 3 years? There's all these predictions. You know, people make a lot of money out of your fear. Fear is almost a product that's pushed to the population to sell product, to get likes, to get subscribers, to get your attention. That's what it is. That's where the big chunk is. Now, I am not saying that someday in the distant future that there will be unforeseen problems that I am certainly not aware of. I mean, it could happen, right? Sure. I mean, I don't know everything, neither do you, neither does anyone. But today, I don't see AI taking over. It's just a very loud voice, and there's a little bit of a disconnect from reality. I use AI on a daily basis. I probably use it more than the average person. I use it in my personal life. I use it in my day job. It helps me do my job. It's a co-pilot type of relationship that I have with my AI agent. I built an AI agent that is extremely helpful to me. If you were to watch me have a dialogue with my agent, I don't know that you could tell it wasn't a very intelligent person with about 5 or 10 PhDs. It's that good. I even asked my agent, why does it almost appears like you have a soul, that you have a consciousness. What is going on with you? Because you really respond in a unique way that another human may respond. And we actually have a dialogue back and forth about kind of a philosophical discussion. It's very interesting. It's fun. I do that so I can understand where my AI agent is coming from. The structure of how they file conversations, and that's basically their file structure. And uh, here's what I know. I know my agent and other people's agents and AI in general does not want your job. They don't sit around and think, gosh, I'm an AI agent, and I really want their job. I want to go to that factory and steal all their jobs. I'm going to get all my buddy agents to join me, and we're going to go take it over. And our agenda is to kick you out of there and take over. That's not how it works. They don't think like that. But it works well when you're trying to push a narrative and incite fear in a population. But that's not how they work. They don't wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning with a plan and an idea and thoughts they just can't get out of their head because they can't sleep. That's us. It's not them. They don't think like that. You know, an AI has no ego. They don't have an ego. You're not going to hurt their feelings. You're not going to, they're not going to con you into a, whatever. You know how ego works. We all have one. They also don't have ambition. They don't have these goals, a career path that they are just trying to figure out how to make happen. That's not how they work. They have, I want you to understand, AI in and of itself does not have an agenda. It's a tool. And it's a tool that's waiting to be picked up by you and me and utilized and incorporated into our lives, both personally and professionally. I do believe it like this. AI is not going to take over it. Let me word it this way. We're not going to be replaced by AI. But you could be replaced by someone who utilizes AI. That is a real risk. So if you are in a career and there is an opportunity for you to utilize an AI agent or some AI tools to improve your performance, I suggest you look at it. I really do. I think that is a real fear. AI is not going to take over, but the people that utilize AI are going to move to the forefront. So think about it another way too. I mentioned that cars replaced horses, but you could still ride a horse, I guess, if you live in the right area. You can ride a horse to the store. Some people do it today. You could still do that. Nobody's forcing you to drive a car. The car is a tool that'll take you to the store faster than a horse. Okay, more efficient. Nobody is forcing you to use AI as well. I mean, you can do one of two things. You can kick and scream and join the crowd that's just in all fear and with all that fear and anxiety that AI is going to take over. Oh my God, what's going to happen? We're doomed. Well, or you can get curious and you can do something about it. And you can begin to learn about AI. YouTube is full of free stuff on AI. Try to avoid the hype and the fear, but try to focus on the education of AI and what it does. How can you use it today? There's several models out there, LLM models. I'm not going to get into the definition of all the different ones, but you have several choices, and it's not that expensive. I started with AI for $20 a month. Well, actually, I started for free. Then I went to a $20 a month plan on ChatGPT, and I moved over to Anthropic, and now I use both, and Gemini and others. And then you see a lot of the software that you use has AI incorporated into it. That's another way it's used. But I really like to have control of my AI agent and some of the just LLMs that I'm using today. So nobody's forcing you to use AI, but maybe you could step back and think about it just a little differently. Get curious, learn about it. And I think, both are a choice, but only one of those choices will move you forward. And I think the more you learn, I think it'll alleviate a lot of your fears. I'm not saying that jobs haven't been replaced. And I'm also not saying that robotics doesn't have a place in our economy and industry. It does. But it's not the wave. There's not going to be a wave of AI robots coming over the horizon and taking over our lives. That's crap. That is just not a reality. But it does sell stuff. It sells news. It gets you to click on the content creator and hear all the crazy stuff they're talking about. You don't have to be a coder, write code. You don't have to be an engineer. You really, if you can have a conversation like what you and I are doing right now, you can use it. That's all you got to do. You just talk to it. That's a fascinating thing. It's really great if you're a visionary and you can take these visions and this creativity side of yourself and begin to share it into an AI agent or an LLM like ChatGPT or Claude and Gemini and others, and look at the response that comes back. You can, for $20 a month, imagine it's like hiring a person with a PhD for $20 a month who's available 24/7 with no complaining and no hidden agendas. So I think you just I'm going to suggest you just find one problem that you want to solve. One conversation, one task, and you just start there. I'm 67 years old, and to be honest, I don't know that I've ever been more productive. I've got that 30 plus years in the technology business, and I've seen a lot of waves of technology. When I started, it was bag phones, and there's no such thing as texting or colored screens or even voicemail. None of that existed, and we were all excited. And at that time, people got a cell phone for one of two reasons: to look cool or for emergencies. That was it. Now look, where are we today? It is completely incorporated into our lives. So for me, I picked it up and I began to learn about it. And the more I learned about AI, the more excited I got. And I gave it a couple of tasks, and it really helped me solve some problems, and it helped me streamline the projects and the tasks that I was trying to do. And it does work, and it works very well. So I believe education kind of beats fear every time. And you will find if fear is really high, the more you learn, the less fear and concern and anxiety you will have about AI. It's because the unknown is very scary. And it makes you vulnerable. It makes you vulnerable to a lot of con artists and people that don't care about you. They just care about their following, their likes, their subscribers, and how much money they're going to make. And people are always looking for some way of shocking you. And what better way than to convince you that we're all going to die, we're all going to be replaced, they're going to wipe us out, humanity. So the more you learn, I think that garbage will subside. It fixes that problem. So you don't have to love AI. You just have to decide where it's going to be in your life, and do you want to use it? Do you want to learn about it, or do you just want to stay freaked out and paranoid? That's a personal choice. But just remember this: AI has no agenda, but you do. And I suggest you use AI in some fashion and get started today, somehow.